Scott Blair. I am the Director of Medical Equipment Planning for Surgery Center Services of America, based out of Mesa, Arizona. It's a company that develops surgery centers throughout the United States and now in Canada. I had to go looking for a vendor that could help me, and so I started searching online and looking for alternatives. Most of the companies I spoke with said it was impossible. I only had about 3 weeks to put together a system, and so I just kept calling companies, and eventually came to Expeditor, and I talked with John Marshall, who I'd never met before, and explained the situation and said, is there any way that you can provide a custom system for the surgery center in under 3 weeks? And it was just before Christmas. And he said, I think we can do it. And so I gave him a go-ahead, and they delivered on time, and everything was great. And after that, I started to learn about the company. Patient flow in terms of the design of a surgery center is very important, because we're constantly talking about turnover. I think where you're going with your question, though, is in terms of the nurse call system, that's not a big issue for the surgery centers per se, but a lot of times we're building surgery centers and clinics, and so we're using the same equipment on the other side, where in terms of looking for benefits from patient flow, it becomes very important on the clinical side. Most of these places are already doing surgery, or they're doing clinical work in another facility, so they're transferring from an existing facility to a new one. So they have an idea of what their goals are, and what we need to do is exceed their goals. One of the things I am very grateful for is that Expeditor is one of the few companies that I've worked with that really stays on top of the codes. They understand the medical environment. They've done so many medical projects, particularly ASCs, that they get it. I live in an environment where I'm working on 15 projects or so at a time, and it's very easy to forget something because I'm dealing with everything in the project, and you're constantly dealing with minor crises, in construction, or something has gone wrong, and so it's easy to forget something. And when I've gone to John when it was my fault that I was late, I've never had an issue having Expeditor respond quickly and meet my needs. They've never failed to perform. To have a situation where I have a vendor who understands what is going on, they can look at a floor plan and just from experience to know exactly what needs to happen there. All I need to do is give them just a little bit of guideline information, and it just happens. That's unheard of in the area that I work with. Expeditor may be one of the only companies I've worked with where the installation people within the company, particularly Jason Stallman, I know is very proactive in contacting our projects. And before I even have time to check on it, Jason is contacting me, or John's calling me, John Marshall, and letting me know what's happening in the project. So I'm really just recording their information of what they've already done. They really provide a level of confidence that I don't have with most of my vendors. The aha moments have been along the line of being totally surprised at what we were installing. If you remember, when I first started using Expeditor, it was solely because I needed to have something in the center and nobody else could provide it, and it was an impossibly short-term window that I had to work with, 3 weeks before Christmas. So I wasn't even looking at what was in the system, and over time, I had no idea at the start we were using LED bulbs, which is revolutionary compared to other systems out there. LED bulbs eliminated maintenance. I had no idea until years later that we had a programmable system where if we needed to change the way the lights worked in the center so it was easier for a staff person to use, it was a non-issue. I didn't know that we had the ability to add clinics to the same system used in the ASC and create an entirely different sequencing system with all the time stamping, all that was already in the system. I had no idea. And so I'm constantly surprised by the capabilities of Expeditor. It goes way beyond my expectations. You can tell when the doctors have spent a lot of time in conference with a salesperson from an EMR company, because they're starting to cite the bullet points in terms of what the features are that get presented. What they almost universally don't know is how the systems actually will be used and function in real life, because they'll tell me all the time, oh, we've got sequencing or dilation times or any kind of time stamping built into their system, but they don't understand how it works, and the fact that it's actually quite cumbersome in the EMR environment because you're using a computer terminal to get that information. So you have to input in order to get output. Try standing 10 feet away from a computer and read the screen. It's very difficult to do. It's the light and audible system that you have with a nurse call system is something you can see across the room. You can't do that with a computer. What you could be doing better is promoting yourselves more, because the Expeditor has a lot of capabilities that my customers don't realize. You have tremendous capabilities that are untapped, and so I need better information, better presentation materials or support to explain to my customers that with a very, very modest investment, when they build a clinic adjacent to their surgery center, that they can have an incredible system at their fingertips that is going to give them a tremendous amount of information on productivity and can help them fine-tune their centers.